Somaliland, Israeli businesses hold historic talks in Addis Ababa. Senior government diplomats and corporate executives from the Republic of Somaliland and the State of Israel have concluded unprecedented high-level economic talks in Addis Ababa, charting an aggressive course for deep cooperation across critical sectors. The historic summit officially operationalizes a massive geopolitical pivot that is rapidly reshaping the balance of power across the Horn of Africa. Following Israel's highly controversial, unilateral recognition of Somaliland's independence in late 2025, this latest commercial engagement signifies a profound shift from clandestine diplomatic maneuvering to overt economic integration. The emerging alliance severely threatens to isolate the federal government in Mogadishu, while providing Israel with an invaluable strategic and economic foothold adjacent to the world's most volatile maritime choke points. A geopolitical realignment operationalized. The closed-door discussions in the Ethiopian capital were meticulously orchestrated by Somaliland's ambassador to Israel, Dr. Mohammed Hagi. The high-powered Somaliland delegation was heavily anchored by Trade and Tourism Minister Abdirahman Hassan Noor, Central Bank Governor Abdi Nasir Ahmed Hersi, and prominent business leaders representing the Somaliland Chamber of Commerce. On the opposing side of the table, Israel was represented by its deputy ambassador to Ethiopia alongside virtual participation from Israel's recently appointed ambassador to Somaliland, Michael Lodum. The extensive bilateral agenda prioritized the immediate establishment of long-term commercial partnerships. According to verified statements from the Ministry of Trade and Tourism, the delegations explored massive joint venture opportunities spanning modern agriculture, renewable energy, advanced technology, healthcare infrastructure, and the integration of sophisticated digital financial systems. The absolute breadth of the discussions indicates a rapid acceleration of Israeli foreign direct investment into the breakaway republic. Minister Noor capitalized on the summit to aggressively promote Somaliland's immense strategic value. He specifically highlighted the territory's uninterrupted governance since 1991, its democratic stability, and its highly prized geographic location along the Gulf of Aden. By officially opening its markets to Israeli technological and financial expertise, Somaliland aims to fast-track its domestic industrialization and permanently cement its economic independence from Somalia. Strategic sectors and investment horizons. The economic synergies between the two nations are uniquely complementary. Somaliland possesses vast, underutilized agricultural tracts and massive untapped renewable energy potential, particularly in wind and solar generation. However, it severely lacks the necessary capital and advanced engineering required to commercialize these resources. Israel, conversely, is a global powerhouse in agricultural technology, water desalination, and cybersecurity, actively seeking new, friendly markets on the African continent. Central to these expansive economic ambitions is the strategic port of Berbera, a facility heavily modernized by the UAE-based logistics giant DP World. Israeli shipping and logistics firms view Berbera as a highly secure, efficient alternative trade route into the massive Ethiopian market and the broader East African interior. Integrating Israeli maritime technology and security protocols at the port could exponentially increase regional trade volumes while securing vital supply chains against external disruptions. Furthermore, the participation of Somaliland's central bank governor underscores a critical priority: integrating the unrecognized state into the formal global financial system. By adopting Israeli fintech solutions and cybersecurity frameworks, Somaliland hopes to bypass severe international banking restrictions, facilitating frictionless cross-border investments and securing a stable environment for multinational corporate operations. The Addis Ababa summit occurred against the backdrop of immense regional tension. The diplomatic venue itself is highly symbolic. In January 2024, Ethiopia signed a highly controversial memorandum of understanding with Somaliland, promising eventual formal recognition in exchange for securing a 50-year lease on a vital maritime outlet and naval base. By hosting the Israeli-Somaliland talks, Ethiopia implicitly endorses the deepening of ties, even as it carefully manages explosive diplomatic blowback from Egypt and Somalia. Mogadishu has categorically rejected these diplomatic incursions, viewing both the Ethiopian Mao and Israel's recognition of Somaliland as egregious violations of its absolute territorial sovereignty. Somali President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud has repeatedly issued veiled warnings that such moves could heavily radicalize domestic populations and empower the deadly al-Shabaab insurgency. Consequently, Somalia has rapidly deepened its military and economic partnerships with Turkey and Egypt in a desperate bid to counter the emerging Somaliland-Ethiopia-Israel axis. For Israel, the strategic calculus extends far beyond simple trade. Facing relentless, sophisticated attacks from Iranian-backed Houthi militants operating out of Yemen, securing a friendly operational base in the Red Sea Basin is an absolute national security imperative. The economic agreements forged in Addis Ababa serve as the critical foundational layer for long-term intelligence, sharing, and maritime security cooperation. The core strategic metrics. 1991 is the definitive year Somaliland restored its independence, maintaining a functional democratic state without formal UN recognition. 120 million Ethiopian consumers represent the massive target market accessible through the strategic Somaliland port of Berbera. 50 years is the duration of the highly controversial maritime lease granted to Ethiopia under the stalled 2024 Memorandum of Understanding. 6 critical economic sectors: agriculture, energy, technology, infrastructure, finance, and healthcare dominated the historic bilateral agenda. As Israeli capital and technology begin flowing into Hargeisa, the geopolitical architecture of the Horn of Africa is fundamentally altering. The ultimate success of this unprecedented economic partnership could permanently shatter the illusion of a unified Somalia, establishing Somaliland as an indispensable anchor of regional prosperity.